There comes a moment, not when you're crying, not when you're begging, not when you're explaining yourself. The real moment hits him when you go silent, when you stop arguing, when you stop proving, when your energy is no longer available. At first, he feels relief, no pressure, no accountability, no emotional responsibility. He thinks he finally has space. But what he doesn't realize is that space is the beginning of absence, and absence is where value becomes visible. See, people rarely appreciate presence while it's consistent. They notice it when it's missing. When the good morning texts disappear, when the support fades, when the loyalty that once covered his flaws is no longer there. That's when the weight hits. Silence speaks louder than arguments ever could. When you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your feelings, and stop trying to make him understand what he clearly refuses to see, something shifts. At first, he may not notice it. He might even think the quiet means peace, no more long conversations, no more emotional debates, no more moments where he has to be accountable. But what he doesn't realize is that your silence is not surrender, it's detachment. And detachment is powerful. When a woman is still arguing, she still cares. When she's still explaining, she still hopes. When she's still trying to prove her worth, she still believes there's something left to save. Arguments, as exhausting as they are, come from investment. They come from wanting to fix what's broken. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you simply observe instead of respond, that's when the emotional cord begins to cut. And men feel that shift, even if they don't immediately understand it. Your silence removes access. It removes the emotional energy he was used to receiving. No more reassurance. No more passionate speeches about how much you care. No more reminders that you're hurt. And without that feedback, he's left alone with his own thoughts. That's when your absence starts echoing in his mind. He begins to replay your old words, your old efforts, your old patience. The very explanations he once ignored now make sense, but you're no longer there to repeat them. Silence creates reflection. It forces him to sit with the reality of what he may be losing. When you detach, you stop chasing clarity from him because you found clarity within yourself. You realize that not every lesson needs to be explained twice. Not every boundary needs to be negotiated. And not every person deserves unlimited access to your heart. That calm distance you create isn't weakness. It's strength under control. And here's the truth. Your silence makes him feel your absence more than any dramatic exit ever could. Arguments can be dismissed. Tears can be misunderstood. But quiet detachment, that's undeniable. It's felt in the lack of your presence. It's seen in the way you no longer reach out. It's heard in the absence of your voice. That's when he truly understands. Something has changed. Because when a woman stops explaining, she's no longer asking to be understood. She's preparing to be gone. Absence reveals value in ways that presence never can. When you are constantly available, always responding, always forgiving, and always showing up, it becomes easy for someone to take your presence for granted. He sees you, but he doesn't fully see you. He hears your words, but he doesn't fully hear you. Your value is masked by familiarity, and the consistency that should be treasured often becomes expected. Being present day after day, giving love, attention, and care sometimes makes your worth invisible to those who never stop to appreciate it. It's only when you step back, when your time, energy, and presence are no longer automatic, that the depth of what he has is revealed. When a person finally experiences your absence, the quiet gap you leave behind begins to speak. The moments that once felt ordinary now feel heavy with significance. The laughter you brought, the support you gave, the comfort he relied on, all of it becomes more noticeable when it's gone. Suddenly, he starts to notice the little things he overlooked, the way you listened without judgment, the way you showed patience when he was difficult, the way you made him feel safe even when he didn't deserve it. That absence creates space for reflection, a space he didn't have while you were consistently there. Being inaccessible doesn't mean you are cold or distant without reason. It means you are valuing yourself enough to step back, to create boundaries, and to protect your peace. Your absence forces him to confront the reality that your presence was a gift, not a given. People often confuse availability with expendability, and it takes the emptiness left behind to correct that misunderstanding. When you are no longer accessible, he begins to understand that your love, your care, and your attention were never something ordinary. They were rare and irreplaceable. This realization often comes with regret, guilt, or a sudden awareness that what he had was more meaningful than he allowed himself to see. He remembers the times he dismissed your feelings, ignored your needs, or assumed you would always be there no matter what. Absence teaches him that your worth isn't just in what you do, but in who you are and the energy you bring to a relationship. Ultimately, absence is a powerful teacher. It shows people the value of what they can't take for granted. Your inaccessibility doesn't punish him. It illuminates the truth. It shows that your time, presence, and love are precious, and that once they're gone, they can't be replaced. And that realization is when he truly understands your worth. Emotional detachment is the final power a woman can hold, and it is more commanding than any argument, any confrontation, or any display of anger. When she chooses to step back with clarity, she is no longer tied to the chaos, the disappointment, or the constant need for validation. This is not about bitterness or revenge. It's about self-respect and awareness. It's about understanding that her peace, her dignity, and her sense of worth matter more than trying to make someone see what they consistently fail to recognize. When a woman detaches emotionally, she stops investing energy in someone who doesn't appreciate it. She stops explaining herself. She stops expecting what has never been offered freely. Leaving with clarity is different from leaving in a fit of anger. Anger fades, it burns, but it diminishes over time, often leaving room for reconciliation or excuses. Clarity, however, is steady, quiet, and unyielding. It comes from understanding her own value and setting boundaries that cannot be crossed. She leaves not because she wants to hurt him, but because she finally realizes that staying only keeps her trapped in a cycle of disappointment. She understands that no amount of pleading, begging, or compromise can force someone to recognize her worth if they are unwilling to see it. That realization transforms detachment into power, and that power is final. When a woman detaches with clarity, her absence communicates more than any argument ever could. She does not call, she does not justify, and she does not explain. Her life moves forward with purpose. Her energy is no longer at his disposal, and her focus is on growth rather than conflict. And in that space, the man begins to see what he has lost. He may feel regret, he may feel panic, but he cannot simply undo the detachment. Clarity is not negotiable, and it does not bend to excuses. Once a woman has decided that her peace is non-negotiable, her emotional distance becomes a permanent reality. The finality of this detachment lies in its permanence. She leaves with intention, not reaction. She leaves knowing that her heart, her time, and her love are precious commodities. They are not given freely to someone who fails to recognize their value. And because she leaves with this awareness, there is no easy path back. Any attempt to return is met with measured caution because she has already learned that her peace is her greatest asset. Emotional detachment is quiet but undeniable power, and once a woman wields it, it changes everything. You were a privilege, not an option, and that truth is often realized far too late. While you were present, loyal, and consistent, he may have taken it for granted. He may have assumed that your support, your love, and your patience would always be there, regardless of how he treated you. But the reality is that these qualities are rare. Not everyone has the capacity to give unwavering loyalty, to stay even when it's hard, or to show up consistently without being asked. Being a privilege means that your time, energy, and heart were valuable gifts, not conveniences to be used at will. Too often, people mistake presence for obligation, forgetting that true commitment is earned, appreciated, and reciprocated. Consistency is invisible to those who are careless. When you show up every day, listen without judgment, and provide support, even when you're exhausted, it can be mistaken for weakness or assumed as entitlement. He may have overlooked the countless times you forgave him, stood by him, or chose him over your own comfort. Your reliability and your unwavering presence were not ordinary. They were rare, and that rarity should have been treasured. But when he treated your loyalty as a given, he ignored the fact that no one can give indefinitely without recognition or respect. The moment you step back or finally detach is when the truth hits. He begins to notice what he took for granted, the laughter you brought, the calm you provided, the love you offered unconditionally, all become vivid in his mind. He realizes that your presence was not replaceable because the combination of your qualities cannot be duplicated. Your patience, your kindness, and your loyalty were unique to you. And when he comes to understand this, it is often too late to reclaim it. Being a privilege also means setting boundaries and maintaining your self-respect. You are not an option to be picked up and put down at convenience. Your love and loyalty are valuable, and they are given with intention. The realization that he cannot simply replace you is a hard lesson. He may feel regret or panic, but he cannot reverse the choices that allowed him to undervalue you. Ultimately, he learns that a woman who gives her heart fully, remains consistent, and supports with unwavering loyalty is a treasure, not a fallback plan. He sees now that your presence was not something to be taken lightly, and that once lost, the privilege of having you cannot be recreated. Your loyalty, consistency, and presence were rare, and that rarity is what made you irreplaceable. The truth is simple, yet powerful. A woman's presence, loyalty, and love are not endless commodities to be taken for granted. Silence, absence, emotional detachment, and boundaries are not acts of anger. They are reflections of self-respect and clarity. A man may fail to see her value while she's there, may overlook her consistency, or assume her devotion is automatic. But the moment she steps back, the weight of her worth becomes undeniable. Her absence speaks volumes, her detachment commands respect, and her loyalty reminds him of what he has lost. She was never an option. She was a privilege, rare and irreplaceable. And by choosing herself, her peace, and her dignity, she teaches the most important lesson. True value is recognized not when it's convenient, but when it's gone. Those who fail to appreciate it are left with regret, realizing too late that what they lost cannot be replaced.